Hello everyone, welcome back to our data mining course. So, in our previous lecture, we learned about the different types of databases used in data mining, such as transactional databases, temporal, spatial, web, stream, etc. So, just to recall, now let me ask you a simple question. Imagine you own a supermarket. Every day, thousands of customers purchase different products from different brands basically. So, you have collected all the billing information. Now, what would you like to know from this data? Would you like to know which product are sold together, which customers spend the most, which customer may stop shopping with you, or which transaction looks suspicious? So you can, raise n number of questions out of this. So exactly these are the questions that data mining helps answer. So today's lecture focuses on the different kinds of patterns that can be mined from data. So we will learn that what these patterns are, why they are important, and how companies like Amazon, Netflix, Google, etc. Use them every day. So let's get started. So kinds of pattern that can be mined. So now, before learning any algorithms, we must understand what data mining actually tries to discover. So, think of data mining as a detective, as an example. So, imagine a detective investigating a crime scene that happened in some place, somewhere. Okay, so he doesn't know randomly search anywhere or everywhere. Instead, he looks for the different types of clues basically. Similarly, data mining searches for different kinds of patterns which are basically hidden inside the data so that we will be able to mine the information or maybe knowledge out of it. So these patterns are called data mining functionalities. So let's look at them one by one. So the first one would be characterization and discrimination. So what it is exactly, let's see. Suppose you own a clothing store somewhere. So one question you may ask is, who are my premium customers or reputed customers or those who will be buying all the time, that you want to know. So data mining summarizes these customers basically. Maybe they are the adults, or they could be kids, or they could be aged between 25 and 40, or they may visit the store every month or every week. Some spend more than 50,000 annually. So this summary is called characterization, how we are going to characterize the attributes based on some data. So this is what characterization. Now suppose you ask another question, how are premium customers different from regular customers? So now we are comparing two groups. We are categorizing the two people in from premium customers to the regular customers. This is called exactly discrimination. So hope you have understood it. So characterization, basically you are categorizing the customers that could be based on some attributes like ages, visiting the stores monthly, or spending more than 50,000 annually, etc. But when you are categorizing or comparing the two groups from premium customers to the regular customers, then you are making some difference. This is called discrimination. So second one, it's about the mining of frequent patterns, associations and correlations. So same example we can take. Think about visiting a supermarket. So you have noticed that bread and butter placed close together, or some chips and soft drinks, or most of the supermarkets which you visit, basically they used to keep all the chocolates or biscuits at the front desk, right? So why they have to do all this? Because people frequently buy them together. When they purchase one product, they may prone to buy another product together. As an example I have given in the previous lecture, you can remember, if a particular person buys a mobile phone, he or she would like to buy an earphone or a temper glass, etc. together. So buying one product along with another product will relate how they are frequently bought together. So these are called basically frequent patterns. Now we can discuss basically it's a very big topic and I will be explaining more in depth in the future sessions. So third one, it's about classification and regression. So let me first explain what is classification. Now imagine a bank reserves a loan application. So basically only two options will be given to the customer based on their document submission. The customer could be either approved or rejected their loan application. So these are basically fixed categories. So here I have only two outcomes, either approval of my bank loan or rejection of my blank loan. So this is called basically classification. Similarly, an email is either spam or not spam. So I'm giving some two categories, I'm classifying it, right? So this is basically classification. Now let's come to regression. So how my future questions will be answered, right? For example, what will next month sales would be, will this student pass the exam, and these are the basic things you could say regarding the regression. And next one, it's about the fourth one, clustering analysis. Basically clusters are nothing but groups. So how I am going to form the groups, that is important. So I am going to form the groups based on their similarities. That is the important point whenever you go for the clustering. So whenever I have high similarity, the data will be grouped together, and whenever I have dissimilarity, those won't be grouped together, they can be formed into one another group or cluster. For example, suppose a new shopping website has 1 million customers, but the company doesn't know anything about them. Instead of manually studying everyone, data mining automatically groups similar customers together. So one cluster may contain students, another cluster may contain working professionals. So this is called basically clustering. It's a another important topic of data mining. So I will be explaining in depth in the future along with the categories of clustering. So next one, it's about the fifth one, outlier analysis. So the name itself suggests the outliers, basically which doesn't belong to my group, which doesn't rely to my characteristics. So those are all called basically outlier analysis. Now imagine one customer normally spends 2000 every month, that is the pattern, right? Suddenly one day 8 lakh is spent using the same credit card, whatever they have, credit card or debit card, right? So would the bank ignore this? I have the pattern of debiting to only 2000 every month, but all of a sudden from my saving some huge amount has taken. So of course the bank would not ignore this. So this unusual transaction is called an outlier. So what does the bank do? Basically the bank immediately investigates such transaction and inform to the customer. So this is about outlier analysis. Now we have two more tasks, data mining tasks. One is the descriptive and another one is predictive. So what is basically descriptive? So the descriptive basically characterizes the general properties of the data in the databases. So now all the functionalities are grouped, right? So it tells us what you have already happened, right? Examples include characterization, association, clustering, right? So these are all basically descriptive, right? Then second one, it's about predictive. The name itself suggests, right, you are going to do some prediction based on my current data. So it predicts what may happen in the future. So examples may include the classification along with the prediction, right? So I'm gonna ask you another question you can just think of. Can you think of one mobile application that predicts your future behavior, right? So I'll give you a hint: Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, right? So exactly, recommendation systems are basically on predictive techniques. So next, move on to the next slide. So data can be associated with classes or concepts. So basically whenever I have the items, right, computers, printers, I will be able to know who are the big spenders, the budget spenders, pay premium customers, etc., etc. This is why I have to associate my data, right? This is why I have to go for the characterization and also discrimination. So already I have given an example for this, right? So Example, summarizing the characteristics of customer who spend more than $1,000 or $50,000 a year, and discriminating how we are going to compare two different groups or two different classes, right? So another example is given here. Compare the general features of software products wholesale increased by 10% in last year, and how about the decrease or increase by 30% during the same period. So moving on to the next slide, it's a again very important concept in data mining frequent pattern associations and correlation, right? So every time you visit a supermarket, so thousands of transactions are recorded, right? So customer buying milk may also purchase bread or eggs or cheese, etc. So 80 percentage of the time it happens. So this is called exactly frequent item set. So whenever I say a particular product is interesting or prone to buy, I may also purchase another product which is relevant, but I cannot say like, whenever I purchase a milk, I may purchase a mobile phone also. So it is totally relevant because milk belongs to the grocery item, where the mobile phone belongs to the electronic item. So now we can create an association rule. So whenever I purchase a milk, I may purchase a bread also. So milk implies bread. So this doesn't mean that milk causes bread. It simply means that they are frequently purchased together. So this is called association. So how you are relating one data with another data, one item with another data. So to do this, I need two things. One is the support and another one is confidence. So basically, support, how frequently does this combination appear? So whenever I purchase milk and bread, how this combination work out frequently? So if 100 out of 1000 customer purchase milk and bread together, the support I could say is 10%. And confidence, it's another criteria whenever you go for the association. So confidence answer, if someone buys milk, what is the probability they also buy bread? So that's what basically confidence. So if 80 out of 100 milk buyers also buy bread, confidence become 80%. So I'm just giving you this simple example. So another example is also given. So whenever a customer say X buys a computer, which implies the same person X buys a software also. Here the support, how frequently this computer and software frequently appear together. So we said here 1%. And how confident you are. So whenever I purchase a computer, I purchase a software also. So we said 50%. It is your interest to set support and confidence. So without support and confidence, it is impossible to relate two different items or to find the frequent pattern exists. So it's a very huge topic. So I will be explaining in depth about the association rule mining in the future session. Then the third one, it's about correlation. So correlation, the name itself suggests you are going to relate the two different pairs. For example, two products may appear together simply because they are popular. Correlation checks whether the relation is actually meaningful or not. So I already gave you an example. So whenever I purchase a milk, I purchase a mobile phone also. Whether it is really meaningful? No way. For example, umbrellas and raincoats have strong positive correlation, and umbrellas and chocolate, do they have? So may appear together occasionally, right? So this is what exactly correlation tries to say. So next one, it's about classification and prediction. So now let's move on to this. So classification, basically you are going to classify the data into classes. So you are going to use the model to predict the classes of objects whose class label is unknown, right? So for example, suppose a bank receives a loan application. The bank wants to know approve or reject, right? Already I explained. So only two classes I have, either approving the bank loan or rejection of my loan. right? So the computer learns from old loan records and predicts a category for the new applicants. So this is basically classification. So basically this is called training and test data. So already I trained my system with the data of customers, those who ever applied the loan. Now I have the new customer, I'm going to test it and I'm going to say either to approve or reject the loan. So this is how the classification happens. So you can give many examples like email, spam or not spam, right? So student pass or fail. So these are all basically classification problems. And another example was also given, right? So purchasing of a particular product, whenever age of a person, like say X, he belongs to the category youth, and the income of the particular person, say X, is high, then he belongs to the class A, right? So class of the person X comma to the class A. So here we are giving three categories: class A, class B, class C. So here I have only two attributes of the customer, say X, with the attributes age and income tax. So this is how you can classify the data based on the attributes. Next, prediction, as already explained, predict the missing or unavailable the data. Basically it is used for the future purpose, right? So in today I have given the overview on how the pattern is made and what are the types we have, what are the basic categorization we have, and I have given the important topic ideas, say classification, prediction, association, role mining, clustering. So these are the basic important concepts which we have in data mining. So clustering, classification, prediction, then association, rule mining, these are all the basic important topics which we have in data mining. So in the I will be explaining in more I'll be explaining further on in depth about the clustering, outlier analysis, and architecture of a typical data mining system. So I'll be explaining all this. So if you found this lecture useful, do watch my videos. Thank you all.